Did you know over 60% of first-time clients do not return for a second visit? That is so painful, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Maya comes in. Maya is the ultimate marketing software for the beauty and wellness industry. We have a proprietary funnel utilizing special algorithms to help connect the right consumers with the right providers at your business. This means that Maya helps you get higher spending clients you love to work with who stay the long haul. If you want to increase your revenue, increase your client count, increase your average ticket, and increase your new client retention, then you need Maya. Go to joinmaya.com to set up your own personal virtual tour and see why over 500,000 consumers have trusted Maya and the businesses we work with to find their perfect beauty and wellness pro. We promise you will love Maya.
Thank you for joining me. This is Katie Whitledge with the Beyond the Technique podcast. We're talking about the rise of the fiercely committed. And I know somebody who's been fiercely committed to this industry, and she has risen to levels that most of us dream about. Let me just tell you about our first-time guest. Danielle Keasling is an award-winning celebrity hairstylist, global beauty educator, and visionary entrepreneur with over 28 years of experience transforming the beauty industry. From high fashion runways to editorial campaigns and red carpet icons, she fuses creative mastery with sharp business acumen to empower and elevate everyone she touches. As the founder of Hair Biz and Beyond and CEO of Another Million Miles, Danielle is the force behind countless iconic looks, including for legends like Lady Gaga. Her work goes far beyond the chair. It's rooted in transformation, mentorship, and a fierce commitment to helping beauty professionals rise. So without further ado, help me welcome Danielle Keasling. Welcome to Beyond the Technique.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
I know the pleasure is mine. Let me tell you. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we are scoring Danielle Keasling to this podcast. This is like a huge opportunity for us. So thank you for your time. We really serve an audience of primarily salon owners who lead teams of commission stylists. That's really the number one group. And of course, we have a lot of self-proclaimed salon owners that listen, who want to build their business up. Yeah. Now, you have been in this industry over 20 years. I'd like to hear from you. Like, how did you even get into this industry to begin with?
That's an interesting question. I actually got into this industry kind of haphazardly. I was supposed to go to college and do all of the things that high school graduate of a 4.0 could go to, be a lawyer, be an attorney. I chose marine biology. And then I realized that you go through school for so long and, you really have to love what you do. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a passion for anything except for doing my own hair, diving into beauty products, but that wasn't really on the table in my family background. So, I danced with it a little bit and had to kind of figure out how I was going to get there, and ended up just putting myself through cosmetology school and, pretending I was going to be a graduate of college, and it just didn't work out for me. It was not in my cards, and I don't regret a single thing about it.
When did you know, like, oh my gosh, this is the industry I'm called to be a part of?
I think I knew when I was in high school because I just had a natural ability to do hair. I mean, I did all my girlfriends' hair. I started doing their mother's hair. I mean, it was kind of bizarre. I mean, I would come home and my mom's like, "What do you mean you gave Cindy's mom a haircut?" Like, what? Because at that time, my mom was sending me to go get my hair done at a very expensive salon. So it was just like, it wasn't adding up in her mind. But it was a thing. I mean, I probably had, by my senior year of high school, I had steady 50 clients that were like friends of mine and then their mothers. And whether that was going to Sally's and figuring out how I could color their hair to cutting their hair and doing prom styles and all this stuff. So I just didn't cave into it, I don't think, or like let it be until I went through cosmetology school. And then I realized, there's just so much more opportunity besides just doing hair on clients in the industry. And that's kind of where I thought, you know what, I think this is the path for me.
Well, if you're a 4.0 student and you could have gone many directions academically, you chose this. Is there anything that in this process didn't come naturally or easy for you?
That's a good question. Naturally or easy? Yeah, I think that, I always struggled with being a little bit of an introvert. So that was probably, I think, one of the bigger challenges for me, especially when I was okay with like being in a salon environment, working one-on-one with clients, because it turned into, it wasn't about me. It was about them. It was about making them feel their best. And that was like a deflection of like having to actually, in my own right, be confident in my own skin. It wasn't until I got into the fashion side of the industry that I think it was really challenging. And I think that's probably what drove me to do it, was the ego and the having to deal with people that were challenging to me, because my safety was being the expert and being in a position of authority with my clients, because I knew I was really good at what I did. But to put myself outside into a world of, yeah, what was so absolutely not like me. I was never a bragger. I was never like, I was very silent unless I had to say something. I was like a sponge. I just wasn't the person to be like flamboyantly putting my opinion out there, or really like just digging in, or like pretending that I was somebody I wasn't. That was not me at all. So going into an industry that is really hard to get into, you have to have a lot of persistence and you have to develop really thick skin. You can't get your feelings hurt. It was kind of why I did it, and kind of why I loved it. And then I also think that it was the point of my career which really took off, because I learned at that point, going forward, like, you can't hurt my feelings. Like, it just doesn't. You can if you're like in a like emotional personal relationship with me, but as far as business goes, business is business, work is work.
Have you always had a thick skin, or was that developed from your time in fashion?
No, I think it was developed. No, yeah, it was definitely developed.
So, okay, did you have to move? Like when you made this big decision, you were like, first off, I give you tons of credibility for that, because it's a powerful position to feel like you're at the top, and then being willing to take all these steps backwards and kind of starting from the bottom in this new part of the industry takes a lot of guts, and the willingness, like you said, to be the lowly one and to learn and be told maybe that you aren't as great as you think. There's just risk in that. So you had courage. Did that courage require like literally transplanting yourself somewhere else, or what did that story look like?
No, it's funny you said that, because I'm like literally 26 years after starting this industry. I'm back in that. I'm back in the being at the low end of the totem pole in a different way, which I can explain later. But it's like, wow, that was a whole full circle you just brought to my mind.
Mhm.
Um no, I actually did it. I'm very calculated. Like, I don't believe that you have to just be smart about the way that you position yourself with things. And um I hear it all the time. I hear it, people saying like, oh, I'd love to go do fashion week, but I don't want to move to New York, or I don't want to, I don't want to live here, I don't want to live there. And I'm like, oh, you don't have to live anywhere. And I've never lived anywhere in a city. I live in South Carolina. Like I live on a island. And you know, personal reasons that I'm here, and why I hadn't left, and you know what happened with my career because I was willing to take risks and keep opportunities open and didn't say no very many times at all. You know, you figure it out. Like I have a direct flight to New York. I'm lucky. Maybe not everyone does, but I can wake up at 5 in the morning, get on a flight to Spanish, fly up to New York, be there by 9, and get on at 9 o'clock that night and fly home. And people think that's crazy. They're like, you fly up to New York for a day? And I'm like, yeah, well, people take the train into New York and it takes them 2 hours. What's the difference if I'm in a plane or I'm on a train? So, you know, I think that if you want something bad enough, there's a way to get it. You just have to think outside the box.
After experiencing fashion, what was like that next ceiling you wanted to break through? What did you want really bad to come after that?
So it's interesting because I didn't really know anything besides working in a salon. And then when I started getting a little antsy about that and like needed something else, I kind of got into like, oh, I'm going to put myself out there and learn. You know, like fashion was always intriguing to me, and I always liked that idea and area. I didn't really know much about the brands. I didn't know like there was a whole world of brand education. It wasn't something that like was ever introduced to me very. I mean, like I knew it, but I didn't know it. I didn't know what was involved in it. It wasn't until I actually decided to open up my own salon that I was approached by a sales rep, and they were like, "Oh, you should, you know, now that you have own a salon, you should try thinking about education." And I was like, "Education? Like, what do you what?" And they're like, "Well, you know, if you became an educator for a brand, you'd have, you know, pretty much like convenience of like having a format for your staff." And I did what was not done around here, which was open up an employee-based salon. The South is very accustomed to booth rental. So I wanted a strong culture, and that's kind of what I did. And I got into education really oddly, like total selfishness. Like I didn't do it to like grow in the education space. I did it so I could, you know, have a really stronger culture for my salon because that was where I was making my money. And I wanted to make sure that I could preserve that culture and like grow the culture really. And I also was I'm a workaholic. So like I'm like, who the hell is gonna have time to like develop a training program? Like I'm just gonna go and take somebody's, you know, and that's how I got into that. And then the worlds collided. So I was at Fashion Week. I had just joined L'Oreal and Matrix, and I ran into I'm a big believer in the universe and everything happens for a reason and you just have to be open to it. And I ran into a beauty editor for a trade magazine. And, you know, she was speaking one language, I was speaking a different language. Basically, she was like, wow, I just don't meet that many people in Fashion Week that like actually work as an educator for a brand. They're usually session stylists and like celebrity stylists. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's what I am. And I didn't really realize the brand aspect of it. I think she thought I was a lot more um, like in, like I had just started. I was making $75 a class. It was something ridiculous. I was clearly not doing it for the money. I was just like driving to like local areas teaching classes for a curriculum for my salon. So I didn't know like what top educators did or platform artists or any of these people now that I work with or work and help mentor to put on these shows. I had no idea about that world. So, you know, we got into this conversation and she's like, will you come up and do this? You know, I put on something called artist session. I'd love for you to speak at it and like be involved in it. And it was kind of a class in regards to like showing people in our industry how to do like what I was doing for a living, session work. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I mean, that sounds cool. And So as part of this whole photo shoot and class experience, it gave me a very big insight to like what the industry, like I was like, wow, none of these hairdressers are like from New York. None of them do session work. They're all just like working behind the chair, but they had this aspiration to shoot their own collections and like do other things. And I'm in my mind, I was like, well, why wouldn't you do that? Like I didn't understand that our industry side of things. And then it wasn't until it was just funny, whatever image I ended up throwing together at that shoot, they put on the cover of the magazine. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, I've never had an industry publication and like, but I had publications all over the world for like other like fashion and, did like models and celebrities and like, but I was like, this is cool. Like this is like something I've never even like really like thought about. And it was a snowball effect from there because it was all of a sudden L'Oreal and Matrix going, who in the hell is Danielle Keasling and how does she work for us? And we don't even know who she is. And she has a cover of an industry magazine. And I didn't think two things of it. I was like, oh, this is cool. Add it to like the, credibility and like the cool things I've done in my life. And then it was like, I got phone calls and people were writing, and I was like, what is this? And they're like, we want you on stage. We want you to do this. And I'm like, I had no desire, like zero. I'm like, I'm good. They talked me into going to an industry show and like supporting. I got there. It was a premiere show. I think it was like my first time I think I'd been to the premiere show before as a hairdresser, like earlier in my career, but first time I was there to like work. And I was like, this is insanity. First of all, you couldn't pay me enough to like do this and stay up this late. People were like a little, like it was still back in the time where people were gatekeeping in our industry. I mean, I'm old, so like, I've been doing this for as long as I have. I'm like, I would say this was over 20 years ago. And I'm like, these people are assholes. I mean, I thought I came on the fashion side of like ego, and this was such a different type of ego. It was like, I went into it thinking, wow, this is all about education and like helping other hairdressers. And then like the gatekeeping was a real thing. And I'm like, wow, people are so like, I would put me back at Fashion Week. That was just high pressure, high stress, got to do things that you don't think you can get done in an amount of time. This was, I'm going to be super nice to your face. I'm going to make like you feel on top of the world, and then I'm going to cut you because you are a threat to me and my like growth in this business. And it was like days on end that I was like seeing this, and I'm a very black and white person. I don't have a lot of gray, and this was all gray. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, this is not, I'm good. I don't need to be a part of this. And I mean, it's a really long story, but that turned into me just going like, I am going to be unapologetically whoever the hell I am. And if you like it and I'm your cup of tea, great. And if I'm not your cup of tea, fine. Like, I didn't come back from that show thinking I was going to stay on that side of the industry. And then within weeks, I got a phone call and, basically like opportunity that I was like, okay, I'm going to try this again. And I know my husband at the time, which we're not together anymore, but he was like, are you insane? Like, you were so pissed when you came back from that show about how people were, and now you're going to go put yourself back in that lake. And I'm like, yeah, you know why? Because if I don't, I'll wonder why I didn't, because I don't know the outcome of it. And like, I want to like figure this out. I want to learn like what the disconnect is. Why is it that like people are like that? And I had a very different experience. It was a better experience, but like, I realized at that point that with all the knowledge that I did have and having a better experience at a different show and in a different setting, I was able to look at it and go, you know what, I could actually help these people. I could actually do this and I could do that still. And, you know, I can do both. And over time, I developed a much bigger love for the mentoring and the helping, and like moved over to the trade side of the business mostly. Like I still do a little bit on the fashion side. Our businesses broke down into two very specific, I think, areas of hair. So I still dabble in that, but I would say 80% of my work now is on the trade side.
Okay, this is so interesting because in fashion world, you know what's expected of you and you just shut up, show up and do it. I feel like I'm hearing this and I could be wrong. Um, and you are helping someone else's collection be delivered with their vision and in alignment with their brand. But now you're put in a position where you are the brand and you can create your own collections. And when I see you, and for everybody listening, if you watched today's episode on our YouTube, which you should, it's always fun to see the faces behind the names, but also you'll see behind Danielle are tons of awards because she has created her own collections, which means you are a visionary. So how did that really develop for you where it became now what you could create in the brand that you were identifying with, to the point where you're getting recognized with Naha and One Shot and tons of others?
Yeah. It was a challenge at first. I did a lot of, when I came onto this side of the industry, as you do, you work your way up. You don't, big tip for everyone listening. This shit doesn't happen overnight. I've been doing this for 26 years. So like you still have to start from the bottom. And even though I was like a quote, quote, celebrity hairdresser and in the fashion world and running big shows with companies like Orbe and like doing, I did a lot of stuff, but like I was nobody in our industry. Like no one knew who I was. No one cared. So you have to start, like every chapter, you have to kind of start from the beginning, and you have to kind of earn your right and grow. And sometimes that means like getting out of your own way. And so I did a lot of like teen under people like Sam Villa, and there's a handful of people that I've mentored under. One of them is Christopher Benson. We could not have a more opposite aesthetic, but I did want to like learn, and so I did what I was basically told, or like artistically, but you're working with someone's aesthetic. Everyone has their aesthetic. And so I would put out stuff for him and put out stuff for people that I was like mentoring under, that I would say that I wasn't like, I came from a fashion background, right? So like I was polished when it came to like what's trending, what's taste, what's, and like to do things that didn't align with me, having the background that I did, but I knew what I was doing it for was to like learn, and to like, not everything has to be your taste. You have to learn. You have to even learn what your taste is. And it wasn't until I decided I did collections, I did my own stuff, but like I laugh because I will look back at some of them and I'm like, I actually like spent the time and money to do that. And like, that is so absolutely not me. But like, I was trying all of these things to figure out what was me. I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was trying to even accomplish. I was just like, I was like so on this high of like, oh shit, I can like create my own collections and I don't have to listen to anyone. So like any inspiration and anything that came to me, I would just like spit it out. And I was doing like everything from like hair cutting collections that like at the time, like I was thinking I'm pushing the limits. I look back on the work and I'm like, ew. To these avant-garde things, because I had mentors like Nicholas French and Christopher Benson that like I said, they're completely not my taste. but like, damn, that I can appreciate some of the stuff that they did. So I was like, okay, I'm going to learn. And then like, I look back at my collections that I made independently and I'm like, oh my God, and then it wasn't until I shot for North American Hairstylist of the Year for 2018. And unfortunately, like I try to look at the positive. I was going through the worst personal year of my life with like my ex and everything. And then also I was on a high because I was like getting promoted and like all of these things were like kind of coming to fruition with like L'Oreal, and I became a director, and like so I couldn't really it was a really hard time because it was like I was going through personal hell, but I had to like show up every day. And that's when I went and I was like, okay, let's just throw something else on. And it was like, let's shoot. Let's actually invest to shoot Hairstylist of the Year this year, which I walked in, and the only thing I had control of, because I didn't have control of anything else in my life, was I had a date. I already had paid for everything. And the only thing I could like time wise do, like I had no time to make mood boards. I literally just had to like buy a wardrobe because I was like, if I don't have wardrobe, I don't have a collection. So like I like bought all this wardrobe online for the aesthetic that I was into in fashion at that point. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to pack all this and go to New York. And I walked into this photo shoot, and those that know me well, were like, what do you do? Like, you're actually shooting for Hairstylist of the Year. We know that it's going to be like buttoned up. And I was like, to be honest with you, I have no effing clue. And they were like, what? And I'm like, here's my wardrobe. I was there. I had a prep day. The models didn't even come in. I didn't even have them come in. I just hired them. I always look for like really pretty faces. And I was like, I can do anything with hair. So I'm just going to like prep some stuff just so I have it, because that's my safety blanket, without like knowing what the hell I'm doing, and like wait for each model to come in. And I'm just going to do what I do. Like I have to be creative. I have to take it to the next level. But like, I want them ultimately to just like what they look like. And my friend Ammon Carver said to me that at that point, he's like, every time I've seen you do you on the fly, I'm like obsessed. Like when you do what you think people want to see, you get blocked and you're in your head. And I just took that day, and I was like, I just kept remembering that. And like, there were times where the models, because I know a lot of them just from being in the fashion world. So I have like that advantage, right? Like when you have nice models, you're like, you can kind of relax and you can be more creative, and like they're friends and they're supporting you. And so they were like, what are you going to do to my hair? And I'm like, I don't know yet. Like, we're just going to get, and they were like, it was just a funny dynamic. But at the end of it, the last shot, it was the weirdest. Like, everyone in that room was like, you're winning.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
that's it. And I was like, no, no, no. And they're like, Nick Stimson turned around and goes, I'm not even going to shoot. Like, I'm not even going to waste my time. Like, this is gold. Like, that's it. And I still to this day like look back on it and I'm like, yeah, I kind of now like see how great it was, because I've been a part of a lot of sets and a lot of shoots. But the biggest piece of advice I can get from that is like, you have to be true to who you are. Cause like, not only will you do your best work, but you will infect everyone around you with that like mindset and energy.
My other takeaway is just how you had to compartmentalize sometimes, going through hard things and then show up and do what you got to do. And that's can be a stopping point for so many people. So I also applaud you for moving through that really difficult season, and it came out big time, which all of these experiences led you to a place where you now want and do support industry pros. For people listening who may not really know what you're up to right now, Danielle, how is it that you work with other industry pros in this industry? Like, what are you up to right now?
Yeah, I run a coaching and consulting business. So that kind of developed over COVID just because we all had time and I was like, I still want to do my job and I still want to like be available to people. So I would do a lot of like online things and that hasn't changed. So basically like you can hire me to do mentorship for you, coaching for you in any capacity. I work with salons and their staff. I work with individuals that want to either become a brand, work with a brand. They're thinking about like moving into a different part of the industry. I mean, I've pretty much worn every single hat in both sides of hair and beauty. And now, like I said earlier, I'm into this whole like new space, which is health and wellness. And like health, wellness, and beauty are all becoming one industry. And so like I don't even know. Like everything happens for a reason. I work with a supplement company now. I'm working with like cold plunging companies. I'm working with sauna companies. I mean, I'm like, and if you think about it, it's because I'm an asset to the beauty industry and I have a voice and like all these, the bigger picture is like to take care of ourselves so we can be the best version of ourselves to whatever we're doing in our world. And so basically, like, I haven't come across somebody that has asked me to, coach them and willing to invest in themselves that I haven't been able to, like, nothing's shocked me. Nothing's like out of my wheelhouse. So it's not like there's no designated, like you buy a program. I don't do it like that because I do everything customized to the person that's hiring me. So I do that on the side and it's my like side job or side hustle. I learned that that's a thing for taxes now. Like, what is your side hustle? Somebody told me that the other day and I was like, that's on the tax form. Like, what? Wow, our world is changing. Yeah, like I genuinely love. It's actually one of my favorite parts. It's not the glamorous part, right? But what is anymore? People think that like, oh, you're in Beirut doing a show, and obviously I loved it, but like that's a lot of work and it's a lot of travel. Like, so I say glamorous in a way that me sitting at home and working on like other people's projects or with them on their salon projects or their photo shoot for Naha or whatever it is they want to do. Like, I love that stuff. Like, it is a passion of mine. And I really like nothing makes me happier than when somebody like kicks my ass in one of the competitions because I coached them. And I'm like, yes, and you deserve to win that. And that has been so much in the last 5 years. Like, and it's like so awesome for me to like be up against one of my students now and like hope that they win. Like, I'm done. I'm like, I'm going to do things because I need to always keep myself relevant to be the best for the person that I'm coaching. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather have them win. Like, I have enough. I have enough. Like, I'm not doing that anymore for me. I'm doing it for the industry and I'm doing it for them. So, yeah.
I love it. Is there anything that if you could go back and tell yourself at the beginning of this journey in this industry that you would say now to that beginner version of yourself?
Yeah. To not care so much what other people think.
And it could be an age thing because like once I hit 40, I was like, holy shit, I'm totally cool with who I am and I don't care. But it's hard, it's like it doesn't come easy or quick.
No, it doesn't come easy and it doesn't come quick and it's not natural for our industry, especially because like, we are aesthetic on the outside industry. With that said, do I still care what I look like? Yeah, I still upkeep. I still like, but like, I don't care if people know that I do lip filler or Botox. Like, I'm like very open book. I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Like I said at the beginning, I'm your cup of tea or I'm not. And that's okay. I think that people we as human beings hold ourselves back on so many levels with like imposter syndrome and, like, what are they going to think? And like, who cares? Like, we only have such a short amount of time on this planet. Like, what do you want to do with it? And are you happy doing what you're doing? And as long as you're happy and you're truly doing what makes you, excited and what gets you up every day and like you're really thrilled about, like, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Well, just for the fun of it, because I feel like now that I know this about you, we probably have this more in common than we could probably offline talk about this now all day. What's your favorite biohacking practice?
My favorite biohacking practice is cold plunging. Yeah, I got into it like 2 years ago and it's like a game changer. It's just a way to set yourself up every day for like clear thoughts, and it revs up your metabolism. It helps you with your central nervous system. So it like kicks out anxiety. It gives you a dopamine rush. Anyone that and I hate being cold. So, you gotta, it is one of those things that once you do it though, and you get in a routine, you're like, all right, this is game changing and life changing. But I biohack like all day. I mean, I'm sitting on a PEMF mat right now. I'm like frequency grounding like all day. You would see me in my office. I've got like laser masks on, wraps, red light therapy everywhere. So I'm a little, yeah, and it's not, the science out there right now is like we can reverse our age, and we've kind of been in this industry. We've like rode hard, for so many years.
Or you're ridden hard. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
My Aura ring says I'm 31, and I was like, yeah.
Aura ring.
For people listening, a PEMF mat is a grounding mat. It's copper. It helps you get to the earth that you would not. And here's the thing about it. I live in Wisconsin, okay? Not sexy. People are like, oh, that's so cool. Is it? You would think I'd be great in cold weather, but I have not brought myself to cold plunging. I cannot. It is one thing that is so funny that you're like, it's my favorite because it's my worst nightmare. I actually take nitric oxide to help me feel less cold. I get so cold so quick. So very, very interesting. I'm really into the methylene blue and the NAD plus right now. I know. So I knew that we could talk about this. It's so fun. Okay. We're not going to get more wild on you about this, but
we can have a whole podcast about this and actually how it relates to the beauty industry, because it actually does. And you're going to see it more and more and more. You're going to start seeing methylene blue, I bet you, in hair care. You're going to start seeing NAD plus. You're going to start seeing all of these things. The biggest misconception, I will say this, like, I'm so sick of hearing about GLP-1s and hair loss. Like, it isn't the GLP-1. It's not the peptide that's causing you to lose hair. And like anyone, like, it makes me crazy because if people want to take GLP-1, whether it's Ozempic, tirzepatide, and it is actually making them a healthier version of themselves, stop shaming people for it. Like, I freaking like, it makes me nuts. And I'm like, yeah, you have, like, it's just like any other thing that our body naturally produces. It's just, it has such a bad reputation. And the hair loss is coming from either aftermaths of COVID or improper nutrition. But it's not, it's not something to just go after. And, the hair industry really, I mean, is kind of attacking GLP-1s right now and like making people feel shamed for using peptides in that form. And that is what it is. It is a peptide, so for those of you who don't know what GLP-1 is, it is a peptide. It is something that is developed for diabetes, and it is a peptide. It is something that like helps our body produce something that our body is just unnaturally capable of producing because of whatever reason. It's not everyone's body is unnaturally capable. It's just some people's bodies. So yeah.
Metabolic or mitochondria
Yes. And
level
like,
issues. Yeah.
yeah. So I could go on and on and on.
See,
I mean, that's where I'm
look at
kind
our
of.
we're now officially friends, and our bond is based on the biohacking life. I love it. Don't worry, everybody listening, we're gonna come back through with the salon focus, but I do agree that we're gonna see more of that medi spa or medicinal side of like how do we fully and holistically take care of our clientele, and just that I'll just say this. I used to struggle. I did not go down the path of using GLP-1s, but I don't shame anybody who takes that path because I know what it feels like to be desperate for change. And I used to be very obese, and I would do anything to be different. And so it kind of was like a whole transformation in of itself. But you don't even look good until you feel good. I never showed up and tried this hard on self-care or looking good and having great hair or makeup. Now, like none of that even happened back when I didn't feel good. So all of these things matter, and it's tied to our ability to show up as the best version of ourselves with appearance as well. What happens on the inside will show up on the outside, right? So
Yep,
I'm with
exactly.
you on that. Okay, before we're done, Danielle, what would be some final words of encouragement just for everybody listening today?
Put yourself out there, network, ask for help, be vulnerable, stay vulnerable, remain humble, like all of that.
Yep.
You're
Well,
never, you're a little speck like on this big universal planet and earth and, universe. And like, just keep doing what you're doing, but like always realize and don't forget that like you have a short life. Like we have 100 years at the most if we're lucky. Where are you on that scale? And what do you want to do with the rest of it?
yeah. Well, you're very inspiring, and I could sit and just listen to you share your life honestly for hours because you're
Mhm.
interesting. It's really, really fun to hear about your journey, Danielle. And I want everybody to know who's listening that we have all the links in our show notes to follow Danielle on Instagram, her website, and just connecting with her. And again, thank you for taking time to be with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for all for listening.
Yes, thank you all for listening here week after week. If you can take a moment to leave us a 5-star review wherever you're listening, so that more people like yourself will discover Beyond the Technique, where we're here to change the way that you are supported in your business. Until next time, have an awesome day and stay strong.